How North Korea finally made it impossible to escape. North Korea is the only country where citizens can't leave without state permission. Doing so is considered treason by the North Korean government, and if detected, you may face a lengthy prison sentence. Welcome to Earth Insider, where we delve into the depths of science and explore the wonders of our world. Don't miss out on our latest updates. Subscribe and join our community of science enthusiasts. In today's video, we're going to tell you how North Korea finally made it impossible to escape. As of 2017, Amnesty International estimated that there were some 200,000 political prisoners in camps across the country, who were often tortured and executed. This does not include non-political prisoners. But before we proceed further, if you're new to this channel, remember to go ahead and hit the bell icon to subscribe so you won't miss the informative videos we will upload in the future. How North Korea finally made it impossible to escape. Even traveling within North Korea's borders is challenging and heavily controlled by the government. In order to move lawfully from one internal province to another, you must get official documents and permissions. Almost all organizations worldwide consider North Korea to have the worst human rights record on Earth, unmatched by any other country in the modern era. Every man in the nation is required to serve a minimum of 10 years in prison inside the army of North Korea. There is no such thing as free speech because the state owns every media outlet. Simply having ties to someone who has committed a crime in North Korea can result in a life sentence. In 2009, authorities discovered a 2-year-old child in possession of a Bible and other illegally imported foreign contraband, leading to his lifelong prison sentence. For many years, North Korea has severely prohibited the importation of any foreign media or content. Anyone found smuggling, distributing, or ingesting such content faces harsh penalties, which can include life in jail or even death. Iran and Saudi Arabia are the only two countries in the world, apart from North Korea, that still regularly execute captives in public. Somalia. Historically, securing permission to enter the nation has posed significant challenges for foreigners, even after they've gained entry. They are constantly subject to increased scrutiny. Throughout their entire stay, the dictatorship only shows them what it wants them to see, and only gives them extremely selective tours. Foreign visitors are occasionally even killed when they disobey any of the arbitrary laws of the regime. For example, in 2016, Otto Warmbier, an American tourist in North Korea, was detained after it was claimed he was trying to take a propaganda poster from the wall of his hotel. He was ultimately found guilty of the crime and given a 15-year term of hard labor in a camp for prisoners. They returned him to the United States in a vegetative state with minimal explanation, a little over a year later. A few days later, he passed away. All of this has long led to the perception of North Korea as the most remote and secretive nation in the modern world. It is also the hardest country to enter or exit for a variety of reasons, but it all begins with the country's unusual geography, which has made it difficult for people to smuggle illegal materials into or out of for many years. North Korea has effectively become a de facto dictatorship thanks to the relentless efforts of the Kim dynasty. The island is completely isolated, with no access to the outside world from either its east or west. Geographical features such as the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea that escape the nation have already granted this. It is extremely difficult to go across either of these seas because boats are few in the nation, and the North Korean Navy often monitors the shore, particularly in the area closest to North Korea's southernmost regions. Of course, South Korea itself is the best location, right next door. The main reason why North Korean defectors try to flee their country is that, in addition to being significantly wealthier and more developed than North Korea, the South Korean government formally recognizes that all 25 million people living in North Korea are native Koreans, and that they are all citizens of the Korean Peninsula. The instant recognition of every North Korean defector who successfully enters South Korea as a citizen of that country alone significantly motivates them to flee. who have succeeded in leaving the country since the 1990s. Of them, 34,000 have made it to South Korea, about 1,000 have made it to Europe, and only 200 have made it to the United States. Because of the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ, which, despite its name, spans the whole length of the southern border from coast to coast, direct communication has nearly always been impossible. Very little is ever allowed to cross this highly guarded border, which is the most militarized in the entire globe. Along with the over 2 million landmines, there are tens of thousands of men on both sides who actively patrol the multiple lines of walls, fortifications, and barbed wire. The North Korean Border Patrol will shoot anyone attempting to cross the border. Within 100 kilometers of the northern border, 750,000 North Korean forces and another 450,000 South Korean soldiers are stationed. Additionally, there are 20,000 to 30,000 U.S. soldiers stationed within 100 kilometers of the southern border. Few people have ever succeeded in crossing this incredibly formidable barrier to enter South Korea directly, as it is highly difficult and dangerous. In the past, the effort to simultaneously run across the northern border into China or Russia was simpler, although still very challenging, route out of North Korea. This border has also historically been the most convenient for smuggling illegal goods into North Korea. As you can see, despite their formal military cooperation, North Korea and China have frequently had tense relations. They pale in comparison to the blatant animosity observed along North Korea's southern border. Because there is no chance of a simultaneous Chinese invasion, North Korea does not need to have hundreds of thousands of soldiers stationed there. There has never really been a need to station troops along this little border in order to thwart a possible Russian invasion because North Korea's border with Russia is just about 17 kilometers long, and its relations with Russia are similarly tense. Furthermore, there is a vast border between China and North Korea. It winds and stretches over more than 1,300 kilometers, largely following the Tumen and Yalu rivers through untamed forests and mountains that have been mostly uninhabited for most of North Korea's history. Because of the lack of patrols and guards along this lengthy border with China, it has been relatively porous and easy to smuggle people and commodities across. This was particularly true in the winter, when the Tumen and Yalu rivers iced over, making it easy for defectors and smugglers to walk across them, or in the summer, when the river's depths are at their lowest, making it easy for them to wade across. The main issue with this route for defectors, though, was that even after they crossed into China or Russia, they were still not entirely safe. China and Russia, through their extradition agreements with the North Korean government, treat any North Korean defectors they find as illegal immigrants, not refugees, and send them back to North Korea for immediate imprisonment and possible execution. For this reason, almost all of the defectors who managed to flee crossed into China or Russia. The installation of signal jammers began all across the northern frontiers and into the mountain passes that were considered to be remote, in order to block off satellite signals and signals from other countries. Having intelligence. While things were changing in Russia and China, there was an increase in phone call monitoring in the northern regions. Additionally, the construction of border walls and the conduct of patrols increased. The objective was not to remain there, but to eventually enter a neighboring secure country, of which there are very few, because, like China and Russia, they would deport any North Korean defector right away. This explains why there have never been many North Korean defectors in Myanmar and Laos. They mostly capture North Koreans inside their borders, with the exception of Mongolia, Thailand, and Vietnam, which are neighboring, safe nations. The fact that South Korea views all North Koreans as fellow citizens makes it possible for defectors to escape. That's all for today's video. These three nations will deport North Korean defectors. Defectors were supposed to cross the porous mountain borders into China and then slowly make their way to Mongolia, Thailand, or Vietnam, where they would surrender to the local authorities and deported on a plane to safety and a new life in South Korea. Don't forget to like the video and hit the subscribe button to avoid missing any new videos from our channel. Thanks for watching, and see you all soon.